Dahil sa sobrang galing nila, hindi na kailangan ng pondo.
Hindi naman, Mr. President. Kailangan pa rin dahil as we have said, kulang pa rin talaga, Mr. President.
Yes.
May mga police, may mga fire stations pa rin tayo na walang fire truck.
Yes, I understand. Now, having said that, how much does the BFP collect on fire code fees?
To interpolate is Senator Ralph Recto, the President Pro Tem.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
Mr. President.
much. Thank you very much, Mr. President, Majority Leader. I will be quick in this interpolation. I think the bill is well written, easy to understand, and I congratulate the sponsor in proposing this measure as well and in sponsoring this measure on the floor of the Senate. Would the gentleman from Davao, from Mindanao, the representative from Mindanao, answer a few questions regarding this bill?
Yes, Mr. President, and thank you for your earlier comment.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, let me begin by asking the sponsor are we amending the mandate of the BFP in this measure?
Yes, Mr. President.
In effect, we are expanding the mandate. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President. From the traditional mandate to an expanded mandate, Mr. President, covering the export, the eco zones, Mr. President, and the similar entities.
Yes. And when we increase the mandate of the BFP, then the responsibilities and functions will also increase and possibly would incur additional costs. Would that be correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. Now, with regard to the current mandate, would you say that the BFP have been able to fully fulfill its current mandate?
Yes, Mr. President.
They have.
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. Yung budget nila sa ngayon, sapat na sa current mandate nila.
It's still lacking, Mr. President.
It is lacking, di ba?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Mr. President.
Of the 1,500 cities and municipalities, how many fire stations do we have again? Meron ba tayo in all municipalities and cities throughout the country?
Mr. President, we have the total number of cities and municipalities with fire station is 1,396, Mr. President.
Ang meron.
Ang meron.
Ilan yung operational doon?
All of them are operational, Mr. President.
Okay. So lahat yun, siguradong may tubig din.
Endorsement letter nito.
I suppose, Mr. President.
I doubt it, Mr. President. Ha? Meron naman, what is the average age of our fire truck, Mr. President?
Mr. President, the average age of our fire truck is 18 to 20 years old, Mr. President.
Tumatakbo pa ba yun? 18 to 20 years?
Meron, Mr. President, but meron ding kunting number na
Yes.
under repair.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah, how many fire trucks do we have, Mr. President?
we have the 3,060
3,060.
Mr. President.
And the average age is 18 to 20 years.
Yes, Mr. President.
Ilan naman yung fire truck natin na of the 3,000, how many are 5 years old? Meron pa tayong data, no?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah.
For 0 to 9 years old, we have 879 fire trucks.
Okay.
For 10 to 19 years old, we have 420 fire trucks.
Okay.
From 20 to 29 years old, we have 414 fire trucks. From 30 to 39 years old, we have 432 fire trucks.
Wow.
And 40 years and above, we have 362, Mr. President.
Okay. So meron ba tayong 40 years and above?
40 years and above is 362 fire trucks,
Correct.
Mr.
So meron
President.
pa nga. Okay. Tumatakbo pa ba yun?
Well, per records, Mr. President, they are still operational.
Are you sure?
Yes, Mr. President, ganun po kagaling mag-maintain yung ating Bureau of Fire Protection when it comes to fire truck dahil yan talaga ang lifeline nila. Yung pinaka-lifeblood of the organization, Mr.
Sige.
President.
Dahil sa
Fire truck.
sobrang galing nila, hindi na kailangan ng pondo.
Ay, hindi naman, Mr. President. Kailangan pa rin dahil as we have said, kulang pa rin talaga, Mr. President.
Yes.
May mga may mga fire stations pa rin tayo na walang fire truck.
Yes, I understand. No, let me also thank the service of our firemen, no? Dahil doon sa amin sa Batangas, talagang nakikita ko napapakinabangan natin sila, no? And I'm sure that's throughout the country. And they make do with whatever little they have, no? So let me congratulate them and thank them for their service. And also, I'd like to put on record that I support this measure, Mr. President. I support the modernization also of the Bureau of Fire, and I support the vision of the sponsor of this measure, no? Yung nakikita ko lang problema, Mr. President, is the timing. Okay, we are in the middle of a pandemic, Mr. President, no? So many people will be asking, why are we modernizing the Bureau of Fire ahead of modernizing, let's say, our healthcare institutions? So marami kasi, yung timing lang kasi niyan ang pag-uusapan dyan, and do we have the resources available, no? So I'm just putting that as a manifestation. So my next question to the sponsor is, how much will it cost? I know it is not in the bill, incidentally. There is no appropriation in the bill, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President, you are correct.
And because of that, it will be easier to pass. Okay?
Yes, Mr. President, and easier for the economic managers to adjust their resources.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's
Although I
how
may-
we
yes.
prepare that.
Yes, although I may have to make a few amendments at the appropriate time so that it is not an empty promise, so to speak, no? Dahil baka asahan ng mga taon, mga kababayan natin, immediately once we pass this modernization within a 3-year period, baka umasa yung taong bayan, including the personnel of the Bureau of Fire. So maybe
Thank you, Mr. President, for that concern, for your concern. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure that is also the concern of the sponsor, no? Now,
Yes, Mr.
having
President.
said that, just for our information, not only of the body, but for my office, for future discussion on this measure also, or on budget deliberations when it comes to the BFP, this modernization will cost how much and over what period, Mr. President?
For a period of 3 years, Mr. President, we need a total of 36 billion.
36 billion. Okay?
Yes, Mr. President.
Of that 36 billion, how much will be spent for PS?
For PS, Mr. President, is spread out in 3 years is 9.29 billion, Mr. President.
Okay. So additional of, because today, how much is the budget of the BFP sa PS?
As of year 2020, Mr. President, the budget of BFP for PS is 24
24.
billion. You're correct, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for the clarification. Now, of the 36, you mentioned 9 will go to PS. How much will go naman to MOE?
For MOA, Mr. President, is only a total of 243 million
A year.
a year, Mr. President.
So pwede natin i-round off
Total in 3 years, Mr. President.
total na yan. So mga 80 million a year lang.
81.1.
Okay.
A year.
And how much is the PS today?
And the PS today is 24. 24.
I'm sorry, not PS.
The MOA is 1.480.
1.8. Okay. So yung 1.8 roughly magiging 1.9 lang yon.
No, Mr. President, 1.48. So, dagdagan natin ng
80 million.
21. So, magiging
A little less than 1.6. Okay, got it,
Yes, Mr.
Mr. President. So maliit lang yung dagdag sa MOE. So
Yes.
the bulk really is capital outlay.
yes, Mr. President.
Okay. And the amount is how much over 3 years, the capital outlay?
For capital outlay is 3 years that we need 27 billion, Mr.
27
President.
billion. Okay. Okay. We did some pencil pushing incidentally, Mr. President, with 27 billion, what you could do with the healthcare services. How many additional doctors we can hire, how many additional beds we can build sa mga hospital kung gagawin for health, no? Like I said, because the issue today is the pandemic and health, no? You could build subsidized 58 DOH regional hospitals for 9 billion. You could provide immunization program to millions of infants, adolescents, pregnant women, senior citizens with 8 billion, no? And so on and so forth. Not to mention equipment for 4,000 health facilities, BHS, RHUs, LGU hospitals, DOH hospitals for another 9 billion, no? But let me move on, Mr. President.
If
Yes.
I may,
Yes, please.
the Bureau of Fire Protection during this pandemic are also utilized as frontliners, Mr. President.
Yes.
Yung kanilang mga emergency medical services are very much being utilized at this time, Mr. President, and their personnel are really involved in frontline activities, Mr. President.
Yes, and like I said, no, I value the work and the service that our firemen do, and we support them, no, and I'm in favor of this measure, no. The only problem is the funding at this point in time, no. Yun nga, yung timing din, no, and there are many competing interests for fiscal space. Dahil lahat naman to kailangan ng budget, eh. Now, having said that, isn't it how much does the BFP collect on fire code fees?